Five images that shocked the nation this morning. Pakistani terrorists struck at Uri. 17 of our brave soldiers were martyred, several still grievously injured. You're looking at these operations that were undertaken by the army. While they were brilliant operations, all four Jaish-e-Mohammed Pakistani terrorists neutralized, but at what cost? And there are questions that the military leadership needs to answer. Despite intelligence inputs, how did terrorists reach this place? How did they succeed in striking? A changeover is a very sensitive time. Terrorists have struck before when two battalions are changing over. How is it that these terrorists managed to enter the camp? Fortunately, they were neutralized. Unfortunately, at a very high cost. And I want to quickly now bring in Brigadier Gurmeet Kanwal for more on this. Brigadier, there are faults within, but as we sort out those faults within, what message should go out to Pakistan as one country from India?
Like I said, it's time for the guns to do the talking. Let the shooting begin. In the Kargil conflict, in 50 days, the Indian artillery fired 250,000 rounds, field and medium. If we were to fire 100,000 rounds on Pakistani posts in 1 year, they would negotiate for peace, they would be on their knees. We must hit to hurt. Like General Jaswal said, the post through which infiltration has taken place must be razed to the ground with direct shooting guns called pistol guns. Artillery in the pistol gun role.
Okay, but at this point of time, why is this already not happening, General Jaswal? Is it weak military leadership? Is it weak political leadership? Is it weak, diplomacy, or are we unable to come together as a nation? Or is there a grand plan that we are not aware of as a nation?
No, I will not agree on that. There is weak military leadership. Gaurav, I can make any statement over here for my army commander who's there presently, a very competent army commander, fully well knowing that I'm not going to be responsible for the outcome of the same. He's competent, he's seized with the ground realities, and he would be doing his best, what is there as of current. I should not be passing comments on that. But let me tell you, the resolve of the military is there, and I'm confident, and I am aware of it, the resolve part of it. So we will take action, there is no doubt about it. But what I'm trying to say is that the time for niceties is over. The diplomatic overtures, the political overtures have totally failed. We must resort to what Gurmeet is saying, the guns to do the speaking. Pakistan has never understood this kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And Group Captain Hali, it is high time that Pakistan faces Indian guns, because you don't understand diplomatic niceties. Our Prime Minister came to Lahore. You don't understand kind gestures. It's the same Jaish-e-Mohammed that does Pathankot. It's the same Jaish-e-Mohammed that does Uri.
Okay, Gaurav, fine, but let me respond to some of the aspects which have been brought out by your worthy participants. First of all, General Jaswal called my suggestion of this being a false flag operation as a joke. Please read my article, India's false flag operations, published in Pakistan
India
Observer,
does not do false flag operations. Your basic premise is wrong. Why do these weapons have Pakistan Ordnance Factory markings?
Will you listen to me? Will you
I am listening to you. Pashto maps. And
Okay,
India is not the only country that's calling you a state sponsor of terror, sir.
Okay, number two, somebody mentioned the cold start. We have already neutralized the cold start by developing tactical nuclear weapons. So you're most welcome to come out with your cold start. Number three, please, we are going to show restraint. We are even willing to investigate this along with you to find out the real perpetrators of the crime.
Nonsense. Where have you investigated? When did you investigate Pathankot, sir?
Please allow me to finish.
No, when did you investigate Pathankot? Your team, your ISI chaps were permitted inside our military base. General Bakshi, respond to what Group Captain Hali says, that they're willing to investigate, and cold start means tactical nuclear weapons to be used by Pakistan. This nuclear saber rattling that Pakistan resorts to.
The world over, nations say that they have got nuclear weapons to prevent their use, to deter their use. The only nation that has talked of using nuclear weapons as if it was some kind of candy tuft, or some Candy Crush game or something of that sort. I mean, it is amusing. Is Pakistan aware of the consequences of the use of nuclear weapons? Group Captain, your country is 1/5 the size of India. And if the Indian arsenal explodes over Pakistan, not a crop will grow there for the next 800 years. And believe you me, our targets will primarily be in the Pakistani Punjab, where you possibly come from, right? And all your generals and their huge bungalows would go up in holy smoke. So,
no, but this nuclear saber rattling,
nice
but this, US gets scared, our politicians get scared the moment there is nuclear saber rattling. You don't even reach that threshold. Brigadier Kanwal, you've never even reached that nuclear threshold. What false bogey does Pakistan give us each time?
No, sorry.
Gaurav, tactical nuclear weapons of Pakistan are a bluff that can be called. Let me give you an example. One tactical nuclear warhead of 8 to 10 kiloton, if it is exploded, detonated over a combat group that is advancing in open terrain on a frontage of 10 to 12 kilometers and equal amount of depth, will cause casualties to the extent of 20 to 25 killed or injured and 10 to 12 armored fighting vehicles destroyed or damaged. It's a bluff that we can call. Pakistan's tactical nuclear weapons are just for saber rattling and nothing else.
So why don't we call off their bluff? General Murthy, why don't we call off their bluff?
Precisely.
Yes.
Why don't we call their bluff? Because we have a no first strike policy. Who has told you to this? Who has legislated this? Is it written in the Constitution of India that it cannot be reviewed? Is it relevant in our context anymore? It was made at some time, at some point of time, given a particular situation. Today
so
the world
General Jaswal, is it time to review our no first use so that this Pakistani nuclear saber rattling can be sorted? Because my understanding is, if we punish Pakistan along the LC, if we take out their military hardware, there will be no escalation. But that is only my appreciation.
I will totally agree with General Murthy. No first use is the current policy of the responsible nation. But we must modify this, which should be understood by Pakistan, which is inherent in our policy, that should we feel threatened by your deployment, we would use the nuclear missiles in the first use mode. It is like two people holding the gun, and I say, I will only fire in defense once you have fired at me. Sorry. The US Homeland...
Okay. Now, what is the situation on ground? Group Captain Hali, listen to this report that's come from Ground Zero. This report has come from Uri. It talks about Jaish-e-Mohammed. It is a Bahawalpur. I think it is still a part of Pakistan. It is a Bahawalpur-based terrorist organization that is responsible for this terror attack. The Director General of Military Operations has told his Pakistani counterpart exactly the same thing. Listen into this report. I'll come to you for more. Group Captain Hali.
January 2nd, the Pathankot Air Base attacked. September 18, an army camp attacked in Uri. On your screens are scenes from two of the deadliest terror strikes against the forces. What's strikingly similar in the two attacks is that the terrorists were highly trained and heavily armed. Trained, armed and motivated by the same outfit operating out of Pakistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed. It is now confirmed that Hafiz Saeed's Jaish-e-Mohammed was behind the Uri attack. As Pakistan remains in denial, it stands exposed yet again. Clear evidence that the attackers were from across the border.
The terrorists had some items which had Pakistani markings on that. I have spoken to the Pakistan Director General of Military Operations and conveyed our serious concerns about the same.
Despite pressure by India against Saeed, Pakistan is refusing to crack down on terrorists using its soil. More proof that the Pakistani government is patronizing terrorists for its own ulterior motives. With Shujaul Haq in Kashmir, Bureau Report, India Today.
Group Captain Hali, respond to this. The Director General of Military Operations, with all authority at his command, with all responsibility, says Jaish-e-Mohammed, Pakistani terrorists, Pakistani markings on weapons.
Well, Gaurav, with all due respect to your Director General Military Operations, he talked about certain weapons carrying Pakistani markings. But we have in our possession Commander Kulbhushan Yadav, is serving naval commander of the Indian Navy, who is admittedly a raw agent and who has also admitted to creating unrest, insurgency in Balochistan. We have the evidence of your own Prime Minister on the 15th of August. He raised the bogey of Balochistan, Baltistan, Gilgit and
People
Jammu
from there
Kashmir.
thanking him for raising their issue.
Yes,
not
people are
sending
thanking
terrorists.
him.
Why don't
and
you
now
understand
India will
something
thank
so
us
basic?
because we are
Brigadier
going to pay
Kamal?
you back in the same coin by taking up the issues of Khalistan, Mizoram, and Nagaland and
Oh,
Bodoland
Lord.
and Naxalite. So please
Brigadier
be prepared
Kamal,
for this.
what world
Please
does
be
Pakistan
prepared.
live in? Brigadier Kamal, what would you tell Group Captain Hali when he talks about some Kulbhushan Yadav who's kidnapped from Iran?
Gaurav, Group Captain Ali's talk is absolutely inconsequential. The commander of the he's a retired commander and not a serving commander, so he's factually incorrect. He was picked up on the other side of the border and forcibly brought into Pakistan. So all that is well known and we did not go into it. To come back to the line of control, I agree with you. We should limit our initial retaliation to the line of control. That is where the Pakistan army is deployed. The political aim of retaliation should be to inflict punishment on the Pakistan army with a view to raising the cost for waging its proxy war. Militarily, we should address them with artillery, with precision-guided munitions from the air, or from our own side of the line of control, special forces raids, and action by the border action teams, and gradually escalate if required.
Okay.
Like I said, if we fire 100,000 rounds of artillery in 1 year, they will be on their knees, they cannot take it, they cannot sustain it, and they do not have that much of artillery to fire back.
Exactly. Those who talk about war very clearly know you need men and material. Pakistan does not have that material. General Jaswal, you've commanded the Northern Army. Pakistani artillery is extremely weak. They're very low on ammunition and their divisions are not at the eastern border. They are deployed fighting their terrorists in the frontier province. 2 divisions plus.
I totally agree with you. You see, sorry, I will not answer your question, but I will correlate it otherwise. There are 3 types of बेवकूफ्स. एक होते पुश्तैनी, एक होते खानदानी, एक होते बकलम खुद, जो कहते फिरते हैं मेरे से बड़ा कोई बेवकूफ नहीं है. I think we've come to that kind of situation. We are trying to make Pakistan understand. With due respect, please, Ali, with due respect I'm talking. Why? Because the things are not spiraling in the correct sense. We have tried to do all kinds of niceties. And if in case, what Gurmeet is saying, if we take on, you know that, I don't know if in case you know the terrain, because Gurmeet and myself, we have seen the terrain backwards. We are dominating everywhere and we won't allow a guy to even peep out. If in case we decide to take you on, it will be so difficult for your pickets to hold on. It will be extremely difficult.
Okay.
It is in the interest of humanity. It is the interest of being a mature nation that you please behave. Otherwise, our red lines are actually going to be translated into action. Be clear on that.
And
this time,
20
we're not
seconds
laying
before I
red
take a
lines.
break. 20
We are
seconds
saying
before
we're
I take a
crossing
break.
the red lines.
Has Pakistan breached our red lines finally? Is this Uri attack the last straw on the camel's back? In your opinion, I just want a yes or no answer from all my guests. General Jaswal, is this the last straw on the camel's back thus far and no further?
Yes.
Brigadier Kamal?
Yes.
Yes, enough is enough.
Okay, General Murthy?
Sure.
Okay, Group Captain Hali, will Pakistan get this message, enough is enough, or only when the artillery opens up along the 770-kilometer long LC will Pakistan understand that, sir?
You're willing to do whatever you like, but as I said first, you have to investigate and not jump to conclusions before taking such violent actions.
Violent actions, may I suggest, will follow in case Pakistan continues to sponsor terror, because strategic experts in this country, and I am told even the government, because the Prime Minister has said perpetrators will be punished, the Finance Minister has said perpetrators will be punished, the Home Minister has said perpetrators will be punished, and as has the Defence Minister, which means the Raisina Hill is in favour of punishing the perpetrators more on. This is perhaps one of the strongest reactions that has come in from the Raisina Hill. The Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, the Defence Minister, the Home Minister. Let me quickly cut across to India Today's Ankit Tyagi for what Government of India is now saying after the Uri terror attacks.
Well, as Gaurav was saying, a strong response from the Indian government, the entire political class. Let me first take you to what the tweet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi said. He said, those behind this despicable attack will not go unpunished. Strong words there from the Prime Minister. Home Minister Rajnath Singh also took to Twitter. He said, Pakistan is a terrorist state. It should be identified and isolated as such. Mehbooba Mufti, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, also tweeted. She said, Pakistan is creating war-like situation, and this is destabilizing, keeping in mind to destabilize Jammu and Kashmir. Sanjay Raut, Shiv Sena leader, they are allies of the NDA. He said, if attacks continue, will rebel against government. So pressure on the government to act this time. Congress spokesperson Manish Tiwari also said that time has come to seriously think on step against Pakistan. Strong reactions coming in. The Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Armed Forces, President Pranab Mukherjee, he said outrageous terror attack on the army base in Uri. R.K. Singh, former Home Secretary, also took to Twitter. He said only way to handle these attacks is to hit back at Pakistan. Reactions also coming in from across the globe. Richard Verma, US envoy to India, he said United States strongly condemns Uri attack. Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, also spoke about this attack. He said perpetrators of Uri terror attack shall be punished. Strong reactions coming in there. In fact, Ram Madhav of the BJP said, he also said that it is time that the entire jaw should be taken off for truth. Okay. Gaurav, these reactions that we are getting from the government are strong responses, but the question is, will they only be mere lip service, or the government this time is going to make an example out of Pakistan?
Big question there. In fact, there still is clear and present danger. Now, one group of terrorists that infiltrated hit out at Poonch. Their aim was to target the Poonch brigade. They failed. 4 terrorists were killed. The second group of terrorists came into Uri. They could not hit the brigade headquarters. They hit a battalion location. 4 terrorists were killed. Unfortunately, 17 fatal casualties. What sources are telling India Today is that there is one more group of Fidayeen. These terrorists, Pakistani terrorist suicide attackers, and they are aiming for Srinagar or maybe South Kashmir. This is extremely alarming. There's an India Today exclusive.
Pakistan-backed terrorists striking in the valley once again. 17 army jawans martyred in a cowardly terror attack on India's army camp. Days before the dastardly attack, according to intelligence input, 3 Fidayeen squads crossed over the line of control. Even the former army general has claimed that he had warned the army about the impending attack.
And I want to quickly bring in India Today's editor Shiv Arur for more on this story. Shiv, what more are your sources telling you?
Well, this is a desperate Pakistan doing what it does best, Gaurav.
India Today was the first to report 2 days ago that Pakistan is getting desperate to make global headlines on Jammu and Kashmir ahead of Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's address to the United Nations General Assembly.
Alert has been shared with the Jammu and Kashmir police, the CRPF and the army.
After the 3-day-long gun battle, one terror squad was neutralized in Poonch on September 12th. However, the second Pakistani terror squad reached Uri and targeted the army camp. Adding to the security agency's worries, the third Fidayeen squad is still on the prowl. Sources suggest it is looking for soft target along Srinagar highway and can target any army, CRPF, BSF locations or convoy. With around 5 heavily armed and highly trained terrorists believed to be traveling together, the security forces are on high alert. Bureau Report, India Today.
Can we expect Pakistan? Does India have reason to worry if Pakistan raises Kashmir at the UN? Closing comments, all my guests. Brigadier Kamal, does India have reason to worry if Nawaz Sharif raises Kashmir bogi?
Pakistan has been doing that for so many decades. India has no reasons to worry. The world realizes and accepts that the Shimla Agreement is the final arbiter of negotiations between India and Pakistan on a bilateral basis.
Okay,
the
so
UN
no reason to
resolutions
worry.
on Kashmir are
Jal
dead and
Jaswal,
buried.
Jal Jaswal, should India be scared of Pakistan's nuclear saber rattling?
Oh. No, not at all, not at all. Because Pakistan should realize that before their threat can manifest on us, we will decimate it in their very country.
Okay.
In an action of defending ourselves, we're striking there. We need not worry about it.
Okay.
It's all bluff. Please
Okay.
don't.
Okay, shouldn't
get
fall for that
overawed
bluff.
by this.
Jal Murthy, then India should punish Pakistan. Enough is enough.
Definitely. Not only should we use the artillery which Gurmeet has mentioned, we should be very careful that there won't be collateral damage with the other civil citizens of POK whom we are really concerned about. We should also use attack hepters and use our missiles, in which we are very strong.
Okay, so India supremely strong at this position. Does the country have that political will to do so? The military might to carry it through? I would like to thank all my guests, Group Captain Hali, Brigadier Kamal, Jal Jaswal and Jal Murthy for joining me here on the show. The government is promising that this will not be business as usual. What are the steps that the government intends to take? We'll keep you updated here on India Today. For the moment, many thanks for joining me.